It ain't no conspiracy theory, bruv. The lonely death of Jeffrey Epstein is one of the greatest mysteries of our time. It will be the 21st century equivalent of the grassy knoll in Dallas in 1963. Who killed Jeffrey Epstein? Was it a common or garden suicide? If you believe that, I've got a bridge here in London that I can sell you. It has to be either a willful case of the prison authorities in New York turning their backs and thus facilitating Epstein's self-slaughter, or something much, much worse. We have to ask ourselves the question, the age-old question, cui bono? Who benefits from the strange death of Jeffrey Epstein? Well, a large number of rich and many powerful people will be breathing a huge sigh of relief. People who were in his dirty black book of telephone numbers, for example. People who flew on his private jet. People who visited his so-called Love Island. Although love's not really the word that springs to mind, given that he had a sideline for decades as a paedophilic child sex trafficker. Makes you wonder what all these top people found so salubrious in his company, I must say. There are a lot of embarrassed people on both sides of the Atlantic. Former President Clinton, perhaps most of all, but many others too in Britain. Lord Mandelson. I wonder what first attracted Lord Mandelson to Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire. Anyway, Lord Mandelson had 10 telephone numbers in Mr. Epstein's black book, including his landline and his country home. I don't know why Peter Mandelson's name is so prevalent in the list of telephone numbers. I just know that Lord Mandelson, who's forever telling us of his virtues, has some questions to answer, and they are legitimate questions. And let me add one more, Peter. Do you think Jeremy Corbyn would have hung out with Jeffrey Epstein? Over decades of cavorting with young girls, some of them actually children, it's inconceivable that Mr. Epstein didn't record some of the antics of some of his friends. And it's inconceivable that he wouldn't at least consider using that for blackmail. The question is, on whose behalf? If, as is widely suggested in mainstream American publications, Mr. Epstein was closely connected to intelligence services, and not just American intelligence services either, then again it's not inconceivable that some of that footage could have been used to blackmail powerful people, bend them to the political will of the masters of those intelligence services. Certainly, there are some very interesting names on the long list of Mr. Epstein's bosom buddies. One of the most interesting is Ehud Barak, several times. Tony Blair too flew in Epstein's jet, and not just once. But no one knows is the answer. No one knows yet.